What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. It's very early on a Sunday morning. If you guys are just tuning in, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. My name is Chris Stevens. I'm the founding editor of First State Hoops Report and the Holding Court host, producer, editor, booking agent. When I've not had an official guest on here yet. It's still my desire to have, coaches, some players, and definitely some legends of Delaware high school basketball on here at some point. So I got to get moving on that. But for the most part, this podcast talks about everything in the world of high school and college basketball here in the state of Delaware. And today, we're going to talk about this past week, which was absolutely bananas. There were a few upsets, a lot of surprises, a lot of teams jumping into conference races. And I'll talk about the 4 games that I saw this week, 3 in person, 1 on stream. And no better place to start than the Salesianum Middletown game for Friday night. I want to thank Sean Green for having me join him on the WDL broadcast as color analyst. And radio is hard. Broadcasting is hard. And this is coming from somebody who went to Howard High School of Technology and was in the communications technology vocation field. We used to do a TV show every week called VTR, and I was the sports reporter. It was easy to sit in front of the camera and just read the stuff out and then, edit your highlights in. But a live broadcast is a totally different animal altogether. And I've done this with Sean for the last 3 years. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge because I get to, sit courtside, watch the game, give my thoughts, and work with a real pro in Sean Green. I'm grateful every time, he asked me, if I want to do a game with him this year. I mean, hopefully we got one more left. I know that he's got a few other partners that are really talented and a little more accomplished in his basketball and actually playing basketball. I mean, I'm just an observer, but I mean, he's got folks that are like in the Delaware Sports Hall of Fame that are probably going to be working with him at some point this year. But if we get one more game, then we will. But yeah, what a game to broadcast. If you were not there Friday night, and I know probably a few 5,000 of y'all are going to say, I was there. So that's how it is, with some of these games when you get these tremendous endings or finishes or back and forth throughout. So people will say, I was there. And then they're like, no, I didn't see you there. But yes, the fourth quarter was probably the best fourth quarter of the season. And I will say that G. Johnson, shout out to my guy, Mr. Strictly GP. He was like, it was the best fourth quarter year. I don't know if it was the best game of the year. I kind of think it was because while neither team really wowed anybody, it was just the intensity on the court that was good enough. Sal's jumped out to an early lead. Middletown comes back. They lead by 10 3 separate times. And Sal's just keep coming back. And Latrell Wright was a man possessed in that fourth quarter. 18 of his 27, including the game-winning layup with a second left. That's the beauty of high school sports, and especially high school basketball. You never know what you're going to get every time out. And this looked like, let's talk about this from a Salesianum standpoint first and foremost. This was a game for them about survival because they came into that game 1-9. And people will look at Sal's record and say, oh, wow, they're really terrible. No, they just played a nightmare of a schedule. They've had teams from the Philadelphia Catholic League. I know they played a couple DMV squads. They lost. I mean, yes, they've lost to but St. Andrews has some giants. Well, one particular giant in particular, Darnell Lloyd IV, and a couple other good players on that team. They've lost to William Penn, who is going to be really good. So it's not like Sal's is just lost to lose. They just had a rough schedule. And it didn't look good going into the fourth quarter because Middletown was up double digits, and we're thinking, wow, is this really how it ends for Sal? But Latrell said, no, this is not where it ends here. He went on a rampage, driving to the basket, making three-point shots. And the bounce pass to Kobe and Doobie for the dunk with about a minute or so left that really finally got the Salesianum crowd excited. I said, okay, Middletown's in trouble. Because that was a tremendous bounce pass with the left hand, mind you, because Latrell's right-handed. I was like, okay, I don't like that pass. Okay, he caught it. Oh, a dunk. All right now. That's the train of thought, as I'm watching that play. It brought Sal's within 2, and I said, yeah, this might not end well for Middletown. And it's not to say Middletown played a bad game. I mean, because that's far from the truth. I mean, King Savior really announced himself as one of the future ones here in the state of Delaware. He's listed at 6'5", but actually looks closer to 6'7", honestly. He can drive, has a nice jump shot. He's going to need to put a little weight on to get down there in the post, but everything else about his game is very much likable. But Middletown played a really good game. They just couldn't hold the lead. And that's a lot of teams. Basketball is a game of runs. That's what people tend to forget. Basketball is a game of runs. You have a team that will score about 8, 9, 10 in a row. Then they'll come back, give up 8, 9, 10 in a row. Most cases in this sport, especially in high school basketball in the state of Delaware, it's whoever has the ball at the end. That's how it works. And Sal's had the ball just for a second longer than they needed to and came out with the win. That's not to say Middletown is not a formidable opponent. They'll get it together, I feel like, because Coach Ali, shouts out to my fellow Howard High alum Aziz Ali, doing a good job with that program. They'll be there at the end. I mean, it's just a slow start because they're still trying to work all these pieces in place. You've got some younger players. You've got some transfers. You got Caleb Alpha, who came in a man possessed. In the second quarter, he had what looked like the winning layup. Because the Sal C parted for him. He went up with the left and finished strong with 8 seconds left. And I said, okay, Middletown's going to survive this one. Latrell Wright said, no, they're not. So that Middletown team is really tough, but this is more about Salesianum's survival. They really needed that win, and they're going to need to win again today. Yes, Sunday afternoon, they will be hosting St. Elizabeth, ranked number 2 by First State Hoops Report, by the way, at 2 p.m. So if you're looking for something to do prior to Championship Sunday, because the Eagles don't take the field until 3, and then, of course, it's Chiefs-Bills at 6:30, head on over to Salesianum. Yeah, you probably had to get the tickets in advance, but make sure you get your tickets and go watch St. E's and Sal's. That should be a good one. I may walk down the block for that one, or I may just stay here and watch W Sal on my device, because I've had a week. I've been to a couple of games this week. This week was my girls' week, because I've done more boys games than I do girls games, and I don't like to do that. I like to give everybody equal coverage, because that's important, because as much as the boys get the spotlight, there's some good girls ball being played right now. My first game this week, Tuesday, was DMA paddle. And I came away impressed with, because I've seen DMA, a few times before. But I really came away impressed with paddle, because they don't have a superstar, but they have a lot of talent that works well together. They got Sophia Buffon coming over from St. Mark's. She's been their lights out shooter. Abby Grillo does a lot for them. Abby Hayes is the consummate point guard. Kai Durant isn't the biggest post player in the world, but she's going to work her tail off every single game. So they were able to limit DMA's second shot opportunity in the second half, because DMA was killing them on the boards in the first half. And Coach Sackett was like, we had to clean that up in the second half, and that's what they were able to do. And what hurt DMA was that they didn't have a secondary scorer that night. Maya Hill scored 19 points, a difficult 19 points, mind you. She was, getting double team, triple team, still find a way to get her shot off and get it in. Holy Family is getting a good one with Maya Hill. But usually it's Tavi Prado, it's Kira Benoit. Their shots weren't falling, and that hurt DMA. That's something that Coach Gian's going to probably have to sort of, mitigate as the season progresses, making sure that everybody's, able to hit the shots when it counts at the right time. Because, basketball, that's another, faithful part of the game. Sometimes you're on a hot streak, other times you're cold as ice. And basketball doesn't care when or where, they decide to, swing things. It's life. But that's a game I would like to see again in March, DMA and paddle. I really would. Because I feel like that, it was a state tournament game, but it deserves a state tournament atmosphere. Hopefully we'll figure that out once we know where these quarters are going to be. So that was my first game of the week. Second game of the week Went to go see Howard and AI DuPont. Howard and AI DuPont played two of the most compelling basketball games, boys or girls, in the state last year. The first one was in the regular season for Flight B. Second one was for a trip to the Final Four, trip to the BIAA. And Howard had leads in both of those games and lost them both. And this is a different AI team this year. This is a younger team that Lucky Price has this time around. So there's some talent on that team. I mean, you still got, Layla Selby Blaylock. You still got Amani Bryce. But there's some younger players that Luck is trying to work into the rotation. And Howard caught them napping on Thursday. Make no mistake about it. Howard limited them to one field goal in the entire second half. One, people. Uno. Ein. Whatever one is in French. You get the picture. One field goal in the second half. And I think what made Howard so especially tough is that they finally have a big. They actually have two this year. I mean, Renaya Clark is a senior, but she does her job. She rebounds and she protects the paint. But Helena Griffin does a little bit of everything for Howard. I mean, she runs the floor. She sets picks. She can pass out the double team. And she's only a sophomore. And there's still some senior leadership on that team. You got Bria Harker-Brown, Glory Forby Boonway, Renaya Clark, as previously mentioned. This is a tough ball club, man. Curtis Clack always seems to put together a tough group of girls that just don't take no for an answer. And they'll win Flight B this year. I don't know how far they'll go. It depends on the draw, honestly, because outside of the top 4 or 5, you can move teams around and not be surprised at who makes the Elite 8, or you could be surprised. Right now, the top 4 as it goes, for me, it's Caravel, Ursuline, St. Elizabeth, Sanford. Paddle close in 5. DMA is not far behind. Smyrna is 8-1. Polytech is 10-1. Polytech and Smyrna could be 15-1 going into their matchup next month. That will likely decide the Henlopen North Championship. That's going to be on Thursday, February 6th. I think I'll be in the building for that. I might need to move some things around on my schedule, but that is going to be a good game because Polytech hung with Smyrna the first time around. Of course, that was the game where Smyrna guard Kai Burnett scored her 1,000 points. She was the first person in the state this year to score 1,000 points. We've had 5 more since then. But Polytech has played some really good basketball. They beat St. Mark's at St. Mark's on Saturday. Not an easy task. So that game is probably going to be one that decides not just the Henlopen North, but probably one of the last 2 buys because you get 8 buys. If you guys are not familiar with the state tournament, let me do math for you guys real quick because I got some thoughts on that before I get on out of here. You get 2 points for a win, and you get 1 bonus point for a team with a 500 or better, 501 or better winning percentage. You get 2 bonus points for an opponent with a 701 or better winning percentage. So basically, if your opponent finishes 11-9, you get 1 point. If your opponent finishes 15-5, you get 2 points. And it's that simple. And then you add that to your wins, and then you divide it by the number of games played, you get the point index. And the top 24 point indexes make the state tournament. And the top 8 get buys, and then the 16 after that, they all play a home game. 9 plays 24, 10 plays 23, 11 plays 22, 12 plays 21, 13 plays 20, 14 plays 19, 15 plays 18, and 16 plays 17. So that's how it works in the first round. And then the teams that advance, they get the top 8 in the second round. So there's a lot to still figure out on both sides of the coin. I think the girls' races are more intriguing right now because, look, I had Middletown crowned as Flight A champions, and they lost to Delcastle this week. Delcastle's on a 6-game winning streak. You literally have 4 teams with 1 loss in Flight A right now on the girls' side. Middletown, Appo, St. George's, Delcastle. Who knew? Henlopen North is still very much up for grabs. Cape and Dover both have 2 losses, but Smyrna and Polytech have 1 loss, so there's still some things to figure out there. But only one will probably likely there are two races that are pretty much set in stone, I feel like. You can mark down the independent conference for Sanford. No surprises there. And Seaford can clinch the Henlope and South, Monday afternoon when they host ECS. So I feel like those two races are set in stone. St. Elizabeth and DMA are at the top of the Diamond State. That should be a good game. That should really be a good game. I don't think that St. Elizabeth is going to run away with that one. I think they have the talent to win it, but DMA has the teamwork and the relentlessness to make it tough for St. Elizabeth. So be interested to see how that, parcels out. So the boys' side of things is even more complicated. Do you want to pick Flight A? I don't. I can't. Odessa beat St. George's this week, then turns around and loses to Apo, and Apo almost gave that game away because Apo sold like 5 or 6 layups in the last minute of the game. That was the game I saw on stream. Me and Sean Green were talking about that when we were like, okay, can somebody make a layup here? Anyone? It was absolutely mind-boggling to watch that game unfold, especially since Apple jumped out to a 14-2 lead. Then Odessa fought back, and that game was give and take up until the end, and Odessa just couldn't get a good shot off in the end. So Flight A, I don't know what to call that race. Odessa, Apple, St. George's are at the top. Middletown and William Penn are not far behind. Mount Pleasant 7-7. Mount Pleasant is going to make the tournament based on the fact that everybody above them is playing very good winning basketball between 501 and 701 basketball. So they're going to get the bonus points. So Flight A is probably going to have 6 teams in the tournament again this year. Flight B, Howard pretty much, all they have to do is just who do they have left? I think they have Concord and McCain left. And McCain's not going to be an easy out. McCain is in desperation mode right now. They lost 3 games this week. I'm stunned. They lost at home to Brandywine and on the road to Del Castle and DMA. So that McCain team is really going to have to ratchet it up in order to make the tournament because you're going to have to win. They're going to have some bonus points. You're probably going to have somebody else around the state fall off. I don't know how that's going to, work out for them, but hopefully it does because Steph Johnson's done a really good job at making that program relevant again, and they have some talent. Just don't know what happened to them this past week. Hopefully they right the ship. Henlope and South could be decided on Monday as well. Once again, Seaford versus ECS. ECS beat Seaford by 3 the first time around in Dover. Now ECS has to go down to Seaford. So that's not going to be an easy game for anybody. If ECS wins, then they're in the driver's seat. If Seaford wins, then we may have to have a playing game for the Henlope championship, which would be exciting, to be quite honest with you. But, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The state, there's a lot of parity in basketball this year. You're starting to see teams that haven't had winning records in years put together winning records. You're seeing teams that have been close start to take the next step. And you're starting to see the teams that are projected to be good make that leap to great. And it's fun. No one likes going to blowouts every night. Nobody, and those of us who cover basketball in the state of Delaware, we've had our discussions about the talent level and the drive and the coaching and all of that. I have no complaints this year. Everybody is playing really solid basketball. Some teams are playing better than they're playing above themselves. Some teams have taken that step. Some teams are on the verge of taking that step. There's really only a few teams that you look at and say, it's just not going to work out for them. But there's still 3.5 weeks of regular season basketball left. So we've seen some nice finishes. We saw one at Sanford last week, saw one with Middletown, Salesianum Middletown Friday, and St. Elizabeth girls, they just beat Padua at the buzzer Saturday. It's gonna be a fun race coming down the stretch, and I hope a lot of people appreciate what these young people are giving to the game right now because they still got to go to school. And we talked about, and Sean was smart enough to talk about SL24. That's coming up this weekend. Can't wait to go to Unlock the Light. Love watching that game every year. Love hearing Mr. Chris Locke speak. Like every time I hear him speak, I come away inspired. I come away motivated because losing a child in the way that he lost his son, Sean, I don't have any kids, but if I lost a child like that, I would probably, you'd probably have to commit me. But Chris Locke has turned this into a helping hand for young people struggling with mental health. And it's awesome. And Sean was great enough to talk about that during the pregame show. We had a lot of time during the pregame show because the JV game was like 45, 50 minutes long. But we were able to talk about it and just mention that we're starting to turn the tides with respect to mental health, and how and those of us who are late, baby Gen Xers, elder millennials, some of us were raised with the whole, oh, you have a roof over your head, you have food in your mouth, clothes on your back, you can't be depressed. There can't be nothing wrong with you. Depression doesn't care. Mental anxiety doesn't care. Mental illness of all stripes doesn't care. How much money your parents make, what you do on the basketball court, what you do in the classroom. It is an illness just like any other. And the sooner we change the conversation about mental illness as far as it being, somebody just being crazy, somebody just being weird, somebody just being off, and treat it as a legitimate illness that needs treatment like any other illness, then we'll start making some inroads. And that's why SL24 Unlock the Light is so doggone important. So Chris Locke and that entire community of people who are doing the work with Sean's house, they deserve a ton of credit and they deserve your support. They deserve your coins. Go to SL24, buy the merch. I have a t-shirt actually. I might actually wear the SL24 t-shirt when I go, if I haven't outgrown it, because I've kind of put some weight back on. If I have not outgrown my SL24 t-shirt, I'll probably wear it on Saturday. But yes, very worthy cause. A lot of good basketball is going to be played on Friday afternoon, Friday night, and all day Saturday. Please go. Please go. And, pay for your tickets, pay for the food, buy some t-shirts. They got some other merch over there. It all goes to a very, very worthy cause. And it's fun. It's a fun time, just to, see the young people talking about it. Because I never forget, the first year of SL24, I talked to, I know it was Michelle Kazicki and another player from Padua. And they talked about just how important it was for them to experience this and see, that mental health challenges affect everybody. And for young people to recognize that was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. And, they start to see now that it's okay not to be okay. And we all have days like that. Every single one of us. The person talking included. But we just need to be better at how we frame the conversation around mental health, because it's unfair to just dismiss anybody who feels sad, anxious, depressed, lonesome, whatever. These are all legitimate feelings. And with the state of the world today, we definitely need to have these conversations. People just need to have an ear to talk to. Sometimes somebody just wants somebody to talk to. It's not about, finding solutions or, getting an amen corner or cosigns for whatever you're feeling. It's just that you got to get it out. And as long as you have a safe space to get it out, you are doing your things, it's a good thing. So once again, SL24 Unlock the Light this coming Friday and Saturday down at the Chase Fieldhouse on Garages Lane in South Wilmington. It's still Southbridge to me. It will forever be Southbridge to me. And, get there early because the parking situation is crazy. I know the Salvation Army had to have somewhere to go. But when they built that, they did not account for parking. So if you got to get there early and just hang around all day for all the games, then just do it. I might do that. I haven't decided yet. But Saturday is going to be a day where parking is going to be at a premium. So make sure you get down there. And I did want to close the show out with some thoughts, some really brief thoughts, about what's going on with the DIAA Winter Handbook. It got approved this past week, and they pushed aside till the summer the potential 3 points per game point index situation. So yes, it's still 2 points for a win this year. And I'm personally against it, and I'm going to tell you why 3 points doesn't help anybody, because it de-incentivizes tough scheduling. Because if you're going to get 3 points for a win, then you can just schedule anybody you want, anybody you feel like you can beat, and you'll get 3 points. And it's like, okay, but did you improve your team? Are your guys or girls ready for the stretch run? Have they been in the fire? Have they seen every situation there is to see? Have they improved as players, as leaders, as teammates, as listeners? Are they ready for everything that a state tournament run brings? Are they ready for the next level? Are they ready to play in college? Because it's not, I'll tell you now, scheduling teams that have to field basketball teams just to field basketball teams isn't going to help you. It's not going to help you to schedule, charter X or private school Y or specialty school Z. You'll get 3 points. You'll get a win. You'll get in the state tournament. But will your team will you be better for it? I don't think you will. So if they keep wins at 2 points, that means you have to schedule strong. And you have to schedule teams that are going to test you, because you got to have competitive nature at some point. Competitive nature has to kick in. You can't just give everybody a trophy. You have to accept that sometimes in life there are winners and there are losers. And a loser does not make you a terrible person. It just means that somebody was better than you on that particular day. It is really that simple. And if you're going to make wins 3 points, then you might as well do away with divisions. And again, as much as I love basketball in the state of Delaware, that would be another death knell, because you still need rivalries. You still need St. Elizabeth versus South. You still need Howard versus Glasgow, Middletown versus Appo, St. George's versus Odessa, Dover versus Cape, Dover versus Smyrna, Sanford versus Tatnall or Tower Hill, Seaford versus Early College or Woodbridge or Laurel or Lake Forest. You still need these rivalries because the kids still care about them, believe it or not. And if you start giving out 3 points for a win, then you're really just going to make it pointless to schedule tough, because it could just be any team to say, all right, we got a great team this year. I mean, I know I have the talent, but I want to win as many games as possible and get as high a state tournament fee as possible. Let's schedule these out of conference games as like, all right, we can beat them, we can beat them, we can beat them, we can beat them, we can beat them. That doesn't work. That cheapens the game of basketball in the state of Delaware, quite honestly. So hopefully they reconsider and figure out this 3 points thing is just not worth it. When you talk about developing talent and developing basketball skill and high IQ and competitiveness, the 3 points just wouldn't do it. So that's my personal opinion. And that is going to do it for this edition of Home Court, because it is 6 a.m. Sunday morning. I usually record this on Saturday, but I got distracted yesterday. Shout out to Unrivaled. If you're not watching the Unrivaled League on TNT, it's made up of WNBA players during the offseason. It's a special brand of basketball. And I also got caught up last night watching Saturday night's main event. Yes, I still watch wrestling in my big age. Big deal. But thank y'all for watching Home Court. Greatly appreciate your time as always. Contact information and Cash App will be in the description below if you guys want to give a love offering to what I'm doing over here. We will see you guys in the gym this week. There are plenty of big games. I will be around for most of them. And of course, we'll be at SL24 this week. So if you see me, say what's up. And when I do see you guys, until I do see you guys in the gym, finally, I'm ready to get off here and go to the gym myself. Y'all be good. No, actually, that's one of my other podcasts. What I say here is take care of yourselves and each other.